Welcome back to Leadership Devotionals. And today we will have a devotional that is a mix both from secular data and from spiritual insights. I've read an article in Forbes magazine. It's entitled, "The Leaders of Tomorrow Are Going to Need These 4 Rare Skills." And we know that the situation these days, especially the COVID-19 pandemic, if there's anything the events of 2020 have taught us so far, it's this: all of us, we are more interconnected than ever. The disease in one part of the world can also be felt and be experienced in another part of the world. And in fact, it's experienced in almost all parts of this world. Likewise, our businesses are interconnected more than ever. This time we do meetings with our partners, with our colleagues, through the use of the internet. With technology platforms we build on, we can work from home and just simply be connected with anyone in the web, and also with any communication tools that we can use. And so the next question is, what kind of leader will be fitted for this kind of situation wherein there's so much interconnectivity, there's a pandemic to deal with, and a lot of people are jobless, there's fear and anxiety that hangs on the air? What would be the best, or what could be the good leadership traits that we can expect from our leaders? According to the author of this article, the leaders of tomorrow are going to need these 4 rare skills. The author mentioned 4 skills, 4 traits for tomorrow's leaders. The first one is the leader should be a systems thinker. The second is he should be intellectually honest. The third is that leader should be intellectually humble. And the fourth is that leader should be empathetic and charitable. Let's start with the first, systems thinkers. There are other traits that will lead to having the mindset of a system thinker, and in the diagram, in the article, it was mentioned there that openness is needed, strong interpersonal relationship, strong interpersonal skills, analytical ability is also very important. How you navigate through the complexity of relationships and complexity of the interconnectedness of different factors in your business. You need to have a strong communication skills, tolerance, a healthy dose of tolerance, and of course curiosity. These kinds of traits will lead the leader to have a systems thinking mindset. Of course, intellectually honest, and all the rest I've mentioned. How about what are the spiritual insights that we can gain from this? Such kind of character traits has been recorded. And there are examples in the scriptures that we can say are very good models for these kinds of leadership. Remember, these are the leadership for tomorrow, but the lessons that we are trying to get insights with are the experiences of Bible heroes or Bible leaders from yesteryears. In systems thinking, the person I can think is Joseph. Joseph, has that canning ability when he interpreted the dream of Pharaoh of 7 years of plenty and 7 years of famine that is coming up. He immediately established a system of storage, built barns, and also a systems of gathering the grains and the corns from the various farmers. Just imagine establishing all of this. He was granted to be the prime minister of Egypt at the time, and having established a good system, a good projection of the future, and even a system of distribution to everyone else, he was able to save not only the nation, the Egyptian nation, but also even his kindred that came in order to buy grains from them. It was a beautiful, systematic execution of the plan. And the system that has been in place was able to tide through the famine that occurred. The next is intellectual honesty. Oh, if you open the book of Proverbs, there are so much talking there about intellectual honesty. Now, the synonym that I can get here from intellectual honesty, and basically the most common trait that we can get, is integrity. But in Proverbs 12 verse 17, there's a definition, there's another definition there for honesty. He that speaketh truth, and definitely that person is honest, it says. He that speaketh truth showeth forth righteousness. And so we can see here that the wise man, Solomon, King Solomon, has equated truth and speaketh truth and righteousness all as one. And so we can say that the synonym for this in Proverbs is uprightness or a righteous man. And in Proverbs 2 verse 7, Solomon is writing here about the God that, referring to, he layeth up sound wisdom for the righteous. Solomon's God, our God, layeth up wisdom for the intellectually honest. And further, he said, he is a buckler. What is a buckler? A buckler is a shield during the time that they hold in their left hand in times of war or when they have enemies. And so, he is a buckler to them that walk uprightly. He is a shield to them that walk in life with all honesty. In another text in the same book, Proverbs 10 verse 11, the mouth of a righteous man, the mouth of an honest man, is a well for life. Let's imagine that. It's a well for life. Life comes out from the mouth of an honest or a righteous man. And so for leaders of tomorrow, righteousness or honesty is another trait that is very, very important to tackle on this pandemic situation and the new normal that will occur with it. The next one, the next trait, of course, is humility. In humility, I can think of a person that is declared in Numbers 12 verse 3 as Moses, the meekest man who had ever trod planet Earth. It says, Moses was very meek, above all men which were upon the face of the earth. Why? Who is Moses? Moses was a prince of Egypt. He was adopted by the daughter of Pharaoh. And in Acts 7 verse 22, it says, and Moses was learned in all the wisdom of the Egyptians, and was mighty, notice this, and he was mighty in words and in deeds. Mighty in words. He must be someone very eloquent. He must be someone with, with a commanding communication skill. And not only that, he was also mighty in deeds. But after God called him, he was brought to the deserts of Midian. And for 40 years he was there. And when God called him again to lead this time his children out of Egypt, this is what Moses have to say. And we can read it in Exodus 3 verse 11. Moses said, God, who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and I should bring the children of Israel out of Egypt? 40 years before that, Moses was the most competent and the most qualified leader to bring out the children of Israel out of Egypt. But after 40 years of communing with God in the deserts of Midian, Moses said, "Who am I? I am a nobody." In fact, in verse 10, he says, "O Lord, I am not eloquent. I am slow of speech, and I am also slow of tongue." This is a complete reversal of what was described of Moses as someone mighty in words and in deeds. And after leading the children of Israel for 40 years in the wilderness, it said of Moses, Moses was very meek. Moses was very humble above all the men which were upon the face of the earth. Leaders of tomorrow should be the modern Moseses. It is God who empowered them, even leading this mighty nation across the wilderness, because God gives grace to the humble. The next part, of course, is being empathetic and charitable. And the person I can, the person, the hero or the leader that I can equate this with is no other than Christ Himself. Hebrews 4:15 says, "For we have not a high priest which cannot be touched with the feelings of our infirmities. We have a Christ who knows the very experience, even the experience of our infirmities and our inadequacies. But in all points tempted like as we are, yet without sin. Therefore Paul said, Let us come boldly unto the throne of grace, that we may obtain mercy and find grace to help us in time of need." Yes, the leaders of tomorrow is someone who can feel the need of his subordinates, someone who can be empathetic and can be in the shoes of his people and be able to relate with everyone else. So that this same Christ, 1 Peter 2:3 describe Him as the Lord is gracious. Being gracious, Paul having experienced that in 1 Corinthians 15 verse 10, Paul said, "But by the grace of God, I am now the leader that I am, and His grace," the Lord is gracious, "and His grace which was bestowed upon me was not in vain." Why? Because I labored more abundantly than they all. I became a lot more productive, and I have a lot more performance and output because of the grace that has empowered me. That was Paul was saying in 1 Corinthians. Yet not I. But despite of all of the accomplishment of Paul, he further continued, "Yet not I." Fellow leaders, there's still an element of humility there. "Yet not I, but the grace of God which was with me." To close this devotional, yes, the 4 traits: systems thinking, integrity, humility, and empathetic. This will be the character traits of the leaders of tomorrow. And our Bible, the scriptures, is filled with examples for us to emulate, so that we will be that gracious leader of tomorrow. God bless you, my dear fellow leaders.